In a year where most companies were just happy to tread water, the industrial giant 3M did a whole lot more than that. They actually surged ahead. So today, we're going to dig into the numbers and the strategy behind their really impressive 2025. So the big question is, right? How does a massive 120-year-old company manage to thrive when the global economy is, well, kind of sluggish? The answer isn't some kind of magic trick. It's a deliberate strategy, and the story behind it is pretty fascinating.
Let's just kick things off with one big number, 10%. That's the jump in 3M's adjusted earnings per share year over year. I mean, in a soft economy, getting double-digit earnings growth, that's a huge signal that a company is doing something very, very right.
All right, first up, the 2025 report card. Let's break down the seriously strong results 3M delivered, especially considering it was a pretty tough environment out there.
So these numbers here, they tell a really clear story. Organic sales grew over 2%, which means their core business is really picking up steam. Their operating margin went up by 200 basis points, which is just a fancy way of saying their profitability improved by a full 2%. And maybe the most impressive part, a free cash flow conversion of over 100%. Think about that. For every single dollar of profit they made, they generated more than a dollar of actual cash. That's just fantastic.
And just a quick note on that term organic sales growth. You hear it thrown around a lot, right? Well, it's a super important number because it cuts out all the noise from things like acquisitions or currency swings. It tells you, plain and simple, are people buying more of your stuff than they did last year? For 3M in 2025, that answer was a big yes. Okay, so we've seen the impressive results. Now for the how. How did they pull this off? Well, this performance wasn't some happy accident. It was driven by a really focused strategy built on 3 key pillars.
And here they are. It really boils down to these 3 things. First, commercial excellence. That's all about being smarter with selling and pricing. Second, reinvigorating innovation, which for a company like 3M is its lifeblood. And third, operational excellence, which is just about making things better, faster, and cheaper. So let's see what that actually looks like.
And look, this isn't just corporate speak. Here's the proof that this strategy is actually working. They launched 68% more new products than the year before. And these weren't just sitting on the shelf. Sales from products launched in just the last 5 years shot up 23%. That is the engine of growth firing right there. Add on top of that smarter partnerships and almost $50 million in new cross-selling wins. And you can really see this strategy firing on all cylinders in their core businesses. I'm talking safety and industrial, where things like their high-tech abrasives and adhesives were in huge demand, or in transportation and electronics, where their advanced films are crucial for everything from the chip in your phone to the airplane you fly on. This is the industrial heart of 3M, and in 2025, it was beating very, very strong. Now let's switch gears to that third pillar, operational excellence. And to really get it, we need to understand this key metric, OTIF, or on time in full. It sounds a bit jargony, but it's actually super simple and powerful. It just measures reliability. Did you deliver exactly what you promised, right when you promised it? And wow, the results of this focus are pretty incredible. 3M hit its best on-time in full performance in decades, getting over 90%. They also got way more out of their factories and managed to cut the cost of poor quality, which is really just a nice way of saying money wasted on mistakes and scrap. See, this isn't just about saving a few bucks. It's about becoming a totally rock-solid, reliable partner for their customers. Now, of course, this success didn't happen in some perfect little bubble. To get the full, credible picture, we absolutely have to look at the very real challenges the company had to fight through all year. Honestly, their performance looks even better when you see what they were up against. We're talking a soft global economy, real weakness in areas tied to consumer spending, and slowdowns in housing and automotive markets. You have to remember this context to really appreciate what they achieved. And to make this really concrete, while that industrial business was booming, the consumer segment, home to famous brands like Command, actually saw its sales dip late in the year. That was a super clear signal that everyday shoppers were feeling the pinch and pulling back a bit. Okay, so that was 2025. What about 2026? A strong year is awesome, but the billion-dollar question for any company is always, can you keep it going? Well, their game plan for 2026 suggests they think they can. They're actually aiming to accelerate organic growth to around 3%. Keep expanding those margins, and deliver another solid year of earnings growth and cash. This is basically a big statement of confidence in their strategy. And this chart just lays it all out visually. It shows a really clear path from the $8.06 in earnings they delivered in 2025, right up to their target for 2026. It's a picture of steady, positive momentum.
So this confident outlook for 2026, it's not just about crossing their fingers and hoping for another good year. It's actually rooted in a much, much bigger story, the fundamental transformation of the entire company.
I think this quote from the CEO, Bill Brown, sums it up perfectly. He's not framing 2025 as the finish line. He's saying it was a successful first step in a much longer journey to build a stronger, more agile 3M for the future. And this right here is the roadmap for that journey. Phase 1, which they pretty much nailed in 2025, was all about getting the fundamentals right. Now they're heading into Phase 2, a deep dive into transforming their costs and processes. And all of that is to set the stage for Phase 3, accelerating into the highest growth markets of the future. So if you take just one thing away from all this, let it be this. The strong numbers in 2025 are way more than just a bit of good news. They are the first real, concrete evidence that this massive, deliberate, multi-year turnaround plan isn't just a plan anymore. It's in motion, and it's already starting to work. And that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? We've seen the plan, we've seen the first year of powerful results. But is this the foundation for 3M's next chapter? Maybe its next century of innovation? Well, 2025 seems to suggest the answer is yes. And it's proving that even a 120-year-old giant can learn some new moves in a fast-changing world.